Hello students, welcome to your own channel Gyani Zone. Today on our students request we are taking up a topic from class 8 science, that is friction. So without wasting much of your time, let's begin the topic of friction. So let's study friction. Have you ever noticed that on a table, say this is a table, so this is the surface of the table, and when you try to push a book, this is a book, when you try to push the book, it stops after traveling a certain distance. It does not move on indefinitely. Why does it happen so? Have you ever thought of that? Similarly, when you roll a ball, when you throw a ball, it goes to a certain distance and finally it stops. It does not go on indefinitely. Why does it happen? Why does the book stop and the ball stops? Don't you think that there is a opposing force which opposes the ball to move in this direction? The ball is moving in this direction and a force is opposing in this direction. Similarly, when you are pushing, push is in this direction and a force is stopping the book to move in this direction. Again, in the table, when you try to push the book in this way, in this direction, then after going to certain direction, going to certain distance, the book again stops. Then don't you think so that when you are pushing the book in this direction, there is an opposing force or a resistance acting in this direction which is stopping the book to move further? This opposing force is called friction. This opposing force is called friction. What is this? Friction is a force which stops the movement. I will give the basic formal definition of friction. What is friction? What is friction? Friction is basically a force. Mind it, this is a force which opposes the relative motion of two surfaces in contact. What is this? Friction is a force. Basically, it's a force which opposes the relative motion of two surfaces in contact. Whenever there are two surfaces in contact, say this is a book and this is a table, whenever the two surfaces are in contact, the friction opposes the relative motion. The motion between them, friction is opposing the motion between them. Another thing is it acts on both the surfaces. Friction acts on both the surfaces. It's clear now? Friction is basically a force which opposes the relative motion of two surfaces in contact, and it acts on both the surfaces. Friction will act on this book, the surface of the book and the surface of the table which is in contact. The mutual contact point, the friction will act on the mutual contact point. Friction. Next thing is friction depends on smoothness of the surface. Say, I will explain by rubbing this. I am telling that friction depends on smoothness of the surface. So this is the tabletop, and there is a book, normal book, and this is another tabletop, and the book is wrapped in a plastic coated, a smooth surface, smooth paper. The book is wrapped in smooth plastic wrapper. We apply the same amount of force on this. We will notice this is a rough surface and this is smooth surface. The book is wrapped in a smooth surface, the book is wrapped in rough surface, wrapped by a rough surface. We will notice that in rough surface the book will travel a distance which is lesser than one in the smooth surface. In smooth surface the book will travel to a longer distance, but in rough surface the book will travel a lesser distance. That is, friction depends on the smoothness of the surface. If surface is smooth, force of friction is less. That means friction depends on the smoothness of the surface. Let us move on to the causes of the friction. Why at all friction occurs? Why at all friction occurs? Cause of friction. Basically, what we see, the surface of the book and the surface of the table, or rather any two surfaces, we see that the surfaces are smooth, but in reality actually the surface is not smooth as it is seen. The surface is rough like this. The table is also rough, and the surface of the book is also rough. This roughness is not clearly visible with our naked eye, but on seeing with microscope we will see that the surface of the book and the surface of the table are not smooth and they are rough like this. Due to this roughness they interlock each other. While when we try to push the book, this roughness interlock each other, and they interlock each other, and due to this interlocking we need to give a push which needs to overcome this interlocking. The force needs to overcome this interlocking. Due to this, friction occurs. Now tell me one thing, if we press hard these two surfaces and again we try to push this book by pressing these two surfaces, then what will happen? This interlocking, this interlocking due to roughness will be more, and we will have a greater difficulty in pushing this book. That means friction increases when pressed hard against each other. You must have noticed that when there is a mat, we easily push or pull the mat easily when it is unloaded, when no one is sitting on it. But if someone is sitting on it, say one person is sitting on it, and if we try to pull it again, then we are facing quite amount of difficulty in pulling this mat. Why this happens so? Because friction increases when pressed hard against each other. This roughness of mat and the floor, they interlock against each other very hardly, and hence we feel it very difficult to pull the mat when someone is sitting on it. Now we will move on to next topic. Next topic is static friction and sliding friction. When there is a box which is initially in rest, that is, it is not moving at all, and when we try to push this box, we initially face very difficulty in moving the box. But when the box started to move, when the box has started to move, say it has come to this position. When the box has started to move, then it's not difficult to maintain its motion. That is, when it is initially at rest, we need to give a much larger force to begin its motion. But when it is already in motion, when it is moving, then we do not need much force to maintain its motion, to keep it moving. That means initially when friction was higher, so we needed a high force to move it. But when the box started to move, friction force was reduced, and hence less amount of force was needed to maintain its motion. The friction force in this case is called static friction, and the friction force in this case is called sliding friction. The friction force that we need to overcome during a rest, that is when the body is in rest, is the static friction, and the friction force that is that we need to overcome during the motion is sliding friction. Remember, students, sliding and static friction. You must be thinking that friction is an evil. You must be thinking that friction is an evil, since it is opposing the relative motion. Always ball, you are throwing the ball, but it's not going to the boundary and stopping midway. But do you think that friction is an evil? See, I will tell you, friction is evil or what. You try to hold a glass with your hand. If there were no friction, then what would have happened? If your glass and hand, if you're trying to hold the glass with your hand like this, and if there would have been no friction between our palm and glass, then what would have happened? The glass would have fallen down. The glass would have slipped. If there were no friction, then glass would have slipped. Hence, what do you think? Friction is really an evil. Friction is really necessary. Friction is necessary. will give you one or two more examples. When you try to walk on a wet marble floor, say this is a marble floor and it is wet all around, you need to walk very cautiously. You put your steps very cautiously. Why? But when during a rough surface, you walk very easily. Why? Because in wet surfaces, the friction is very less. Hence, you have to walk very cautiously. But in rough surfaces, you do not take care of this. Hence, what do you think? Friction is necessary or evil? Friction is necessary so that we can walk easily. I will give you one more example where friction is really necessary. Now see, if there were no friction, you throw a ball in a ground. If there were no friction, what would happen? The ball would have gone indefinitely. Say you throw the ball in Kolkata, it would have reached New Delhi. If there were no friction, it would have reached New Delhi. But since there is a friction, it will stop midway. Therefore, we say that friction is really necessary. But it's really true that friction is evil too. Friction is evil too. How? Because due to friction, wear and tear occurs. Wear and tear occurs. You must have seen the sole of your shoes. Say this is the shoe. This is the sole. This is the sole of your shoes. Your sole ultimately, say after usage a few months, it wears down. It's damaged. Why this is so? Because due to friction. Our mechanical parts, machineries in our industry, is nuts and bolts. They wear down. Wear and tear happens, and due to this friction force only, this wear and tear happens, and ultimately they become damaged. We need to replace them. So friction is an evil also. Hence, we say that friction is a necessary evil. That means it is an evil, but it is necessary also. Friction is a necessary evil. Mark this thing, it is very important. That friction is a necessary evil. Now, during winter, you have many a times rolled both of your palms against each other. We have rubbed both of your palms against each other, say like this. We have done this quite often during winter. Why do we do so? Because while rubbing against each other, the palms feel hot. That is due to the friction between the palms, heat is generated. That means friction can cause heat. It is very often that we have noticed. Similarly, when we rub matchstick, that is stick of the match against the board, the matchstick lights. Why does it light? Because the friction force causes heat, and due to this heat, matchstick lights up. That is, friction causes heat. Next we will see have you ever noticed that in the tires of our bicycle or cars, excuse me, the surface is not smooth, they are rough, there are grooves in it. Why it is so? The surface is not smooth just like this. Why this is? The grooves are there. Or in your shoes, say this is the sole of your shoes, you might notice that there are grooves in it. Why it is so? Have you ever noticed why there are grooves? These are grooves. Why there are grooves? this is deliberately done. This is deliberately done to increase the friction, because in shoe sole or tire, if there is no friction, if this groove is not there, then there would be no friction, and the tires won't stop. The tires won't stop after applying a brakes. Similarly, if the grooves are not there in your shoe sole, you would slip while walking or while running. That means shoe and tires are increasing the friction. They are increasing friction. Deliberately they are increasing friction so that the tires can stop against the road while applying the brake, and the shoe does not slip while walking on floor or while running on floor. Similarly, we can decrease the friction as well. We can decrease the friction as well. How we can decrease the friction? You must have, everyone must have played carom. Everyone must have played carom. While playing carom, initially their surface is rough and the striker is not able to move it easily. But when we apply some powder, say boric powder, we apply, then the striker moves very easily and very efficiently. That means in this case we are decreasing the friction by applying a powder in it. Similarly, the doors, there are hinges on the doors. When we apply some oil in it, the door moves very easily. That is, we are decreasing the friction in these cases. What is actually done in this case? When say there are two surfaces, say this is the surface, the carom, and this is the striker, say surface of the striker, and this is the surface of the carom. Both are rough, and when we apply powder, what happens? So this is surface 1, surface 2, and this is powder. Then in this case, what has happened? The interlocking, they directly do not interlock, and the layer of powder is stopping the direct interlocking of the two surfaces, and hence friction is reduced in this case. The substance which reduces the friction is called lubricant. Hence in this case powder is a lubricant. What it does, basically it is creating a layer between the two surfaces, hence this irregularity does not interlap against each other, and hence there is a smooth flow or smooth movement of the two surfaces. And what is lubricant? Lubricant is substance which reduces friction. Remember this thing, lubricant is a substance which reduces friction. Then there might be one question arising in your mind, that can we reduce friction to zero? Can friction be zero? Can we reduce friction to zero by lubrication or by using lubricant? The answer is no. Answer is a big no, because a certain amount of friction is always there. We cannot eliminate the friction in totality. friction, certain amount of friction will always be there in any surface. Hence, we cannot reduce the friction to 0. Next, we move on to an interesting thing is the rolling friction. You must have seen, or you must have seen your trolleys. Trolleys having wheels. It is very easy to pull this luggage when there are the wheels. Without wheels, you cannot pull this trolley easily. Why it is so? Because in this case the rolling friction comes into play, and rolling friction is very, very less than static friction. You can easily pull the trolley due to this wheels. That's why wheel is called the greatest invention of mankind. Wheels, greatest invention of mankind. What is that? Wheels. Wheels are greatest invention of mankind. Without wheels, we would have been in the Stone Age only. But due to the discovery of or invention of wheels, we have come to the modern era. Due to this, so actually, in our mechanical parts, we use ball bearings, and many of our electrical parts have use rolling friction, and hence they work very efficiently, since rolling friction is very, very less than static friction. Next, we'll see a very interesting thing. So there is a container having water. When you try to roll over your hand from here to here, you face a resistance. When you try to move your hand, you face a resistance. What does this imply? This is water. What does this imply? That this liquid is also creating some friction. This liquid is also creating some friction. That is, it is stopping the movement. Hence, you are facing some frictional force. Generally, liquids and gases are called fluids. Hence, we say that there is a fluid friction which comes into play, and the fluid friction is called drag. Fluid friction is called drag. The friction force, the frictional force exerted by fluids is called drag. So how do you remove this type of friction, this type of fluid friction? You must have noticed that we have aeroplanes have a very distinctive shape, so that they can fly easily. Hence, we can say that by creating a device or having a proper shape of the device, we can reduce the fluid friction. You must have noticed that the birds, they have a very similar shape like this spindle. The shape is this type of shape is called spindle shape. This type of shape is spindle, that is they have pointed nose so that they can easily reduce the fluid friction. That has been copied by our scientists and they have created the. I hope the chapter on friction is clear to you. If you have any doubt in any of our topics or the topic of friction today, then do comment. We'll try to clear your doubts. And if you like the video, then do hit the like button, share with your friends, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to hit the bell icon. With this, I'll sign off. Thank you.